Good morning. I'm calling the April 7, 2016 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. First thing, I'd like to take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask Eileen to do a roll call, please.
Okay. Steve Essler?
Here.
Mike Loader?
Here.
Jerry Mills?
There.
I have an email from Cassandra Bowie stating that she would be in court today. So I guess at the end of roll call, you guys can take action as to whether excuse or not excuse. I also have an email from Lindsay, which was forwarded to Mary as well, stating that she would be in court today. Eddie Green? Joshua Dane?
I received an email at 10 minutes of 10 this morning from Joshua saying that he had children issues and that he would not be able to attend.
Okay. Okay, so if you guys want to take a motion on...
Good morning. For the record, my name is Russ Gibson, Director of Planning and Development Services. Mr. Chairman, due to the roll call, we do not have a quorum at this time, so no action items can be taken. And moreover, at such time that we should have a quorum, we will suggest that the information that was just provided relative to the status of the members that are not here be reiterated so that there's a consideration of their excused, unexcused status. Everyone will have the same information at that time. So we would respectfully ask that if you proceed with the meeting agenda, you do so with the non-action items, the non-public hearing items, which would effectively lead us to the staff reports.
At this time, should we do staff reports first?
If I may, thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman. We have here today, this morning, Mr. Vinnie Torrey, who is, as I believe each of you already know, contracted by the City of Sanford to work on the city's downtown waterfront catalyst site. And Mr. Torrey is just going to give the board an overview of what the project involves, and of course a reminder to each of you about Saturday's workshop and forthcoming action items relative to that initiative. So with no further ado, Mr. Torrey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, Vinnie Torrey for Torrey Companies. Good morning. I've met, I think, a couple of you guys. You don't know me, Vinnie Torrey, and I'm here for the rest of the week. The crew is arriving on Friday. Our charrette workshop is on Saturday. It will start at 12 noon up until 6, and it'll be quite interesting what we're going to get out of that workshop. We're expecting a lot of people to come. I want to say, first of all, I think you guys will become the most important board of the city very soon. And if you haven't been busy, and my job is done correctly, you'll be very busy. And I hope to make you guys extremely busy and a powerful group, if you're not already. It's going to be what makes or breaks this town, is what happens in this chamber because of you guys. That's the way I see it. A lot of things haven't been happening here. But my intention is to make a lot of things, good things happen, and that's our goal. And I think we're going to succeed.
I'm going to publicly contradict you because it's not us so much that's going to make or break. It's what you guys do and what you're able to succeed.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because we're, from my perspective, we're on board. We're ready for this.
Yeah,
to
the
happen.
support we received has been incredible. I can't say how welcoming this whole thing has been, and everybody that we've spoken to has the highest regard for this project, and also they're very excited and can't wait for it to start. Everybody, from commissioners to down the line to everybody. So we have a really interesting vision, and we think that the town has unbelievable potential. We intend to tap into the potential that's been sitting here dormant for a long time. One of the things we've been trying to find out is exactly what has been the cause of some of the problems. We think we understand some of the problems, but there's a way around this, and there's a lot of examples around just Florida that you guys can drive around and see that a successful downtown, they're happening. I was last week at Delray Beach. I took it's an hour drive from my house. I went to see the Delray Beach success story. Wanted to see it firsthand. I've been in Sarasota, Naples a couple of months back. I try to go to all these destinations to understand what they're doing, and they're doing correctly. But Delray Beach is an interesting place, and it's actually beyond already the use of the CRA now. I was telling, I think the board yesterday, the CRA board there is having a different issue, is they have too much money. They've become so successful that now they're spending money maybe where they shouldn't be spending, and they just have too much money to waste. So that's the kind of problems they're having at Delray. And they did it with a similar project. It was a catalyst project that they did in Atlantic Boulevard, and it was very successful. But now you go there and you see a lot of apartment condo buildings being built on the surrounding area of downtown. And I'm saying a lot of these buildings. So one of the things that concerns me, and I've been speaking to Russ, is that I'm concerned that if this becomes successful, then everybody wants to get in the game, and what's going to protect the brand of Sanford is your rules and regulations that you have in place. And that's going to be the challenge, to make sure that what starts to be successful undertaking doesn't go awry by way of people that may not have the same intentions as some other folks. So it's a matter of putting all these good rules and regulations and good methods of operating in place, and there's time to do that. But this is something that I wanted to talk about with Mr. Gibson and myself, and see, what does the shape of this downtown look like from a zoning perspective. I don't understand it yet. My goal is to understand what restrictions you guys have put on by way of codes, heights, densities, parking requirements, all these things. I want to understand them real well. And again, we're looking at this project as a catalyst. We're not looking at a project in itself. We're looking at downtown, because this is a revitalization project. So our goal is to look at it in that fashion. That's exactly what we're doing. One of the things that needs to happen is the waterfront needs to come into play immediately. You have two great things here. It's the historical aspect of it, the quaintness, the things that you guys already know exist here. You're not going to be like Mary. You don't want to be like Mary. You don't want to have a town center. You want to have Sanford people where Sanford is. But that's the brand you have, and now it's a matter of protecting it. But the waterfront is the second feature that you have, and it's not really quite there yet. You need to really bring it up to front and center, and that's one of the goals we're going to have as well. How to engage the waterfront. So I think understanding of what rules and regulations you have. I don't see high rises happening anywhere near your town. I don't see anything high happening here, and that's not. It's going to change the character of the whole place. So I'm going to speak to Mr. Gibson and see how those things come into play. If I can just say, protect the brand. You're going to have a brand name. Hopefully that gets built up. Then you need to protect it. You got to play off of that. You got to play off your assets. So that's the role that I seem to be wanting to. That's the hat I want to wear more than anything. Besides being a cheerleader for the town, because I think there's a lot of good things here that can come out of this. This is all being driven by what you all know is happening. This is a move to the cities from the suburbs by people across the nation. People want to be walking. People want to be in places that they can, experience all these things close by and engage the neighbors and people. Again, people don't want to be in their car at 6 o'clock and then see their co-workers at 8 in the morning again. I don't do that. I live 2 blocks from my office. Everything I do is revolving around a 1 mile radius, from a bookstore to a coffee shop, everything. It's all within 1 mile area for me. And I can't move away anymore. I used to drive, 30 minutes to work. I just can't even myself do that anymore. But that's the goal. You guys, like I said, will be front and center regarding this endeavor. So we'll be coming to you once the project is, the project is going to have to be designed as a phased project pretty much, but we will have a master plan that's going to show pretty much our ideas, and it'll happen within the next couple of months. We have been doing a market study, and the market study is completed initially, and it's going to tell us what we can and cannot do economically speaking, or we should be able to achieve financially. And that we're studying hotels, we're studying residential, we're studying commercial, we're studying retail, and all that. That's all been studied by specific people that specialize in those areas. So we do have a little bit of that information already. You'll hear about it on Saturday. The market study will be discussed on Saturday. You'll get to hear a little bit about what is not never going to happen, or what is likely to happen from that standpoint. Because I think it's the key of what the plan for this should have catalyst as front and center. It's a catalyst site. We need to make this be the initial project that makes everything go. That's our goal. Any questions for me?
I think it sounds great. Look forward to working with you.
And same here.
Are you on Saturday going to be sharing the Little John proposed master plan for folks to look at, or are you going to maybe purposely keep that aside just to see what area residents come up with?
That plan is not something we're going to talk about.
Okay.
It's purposely being left off the discussion.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
We don't want people to think that that's the way it's supposed to go or was supposed to go. That was just a proposal. That's where.
Well, it in itself and what they did was certainly a catalyst. Will Little John be represented there Saturday?
It is my understanding
Yes.
that they will indeed be.
We don't want to make people believe it's going to be that's we're going to hear from the folks, and we're going to hear from them, and we want to know what people think. So we don't want to confuse that to be a lead into anything. It's not meant to.
And have you had an opportunity, Benny, to see all of the other results of charrettes that we've had since, like the early 90s that I'm familiar with? Anyway.
One's in my briefcase. I can show it.
Just one?
I have two, but one's here with me.
Okay.
2009 is with me
Just
today.
curious, because I know a lot of people in the last 20 years have participated in those things, and the way I see this one is this one is certainly going to be the most significant and hopefully have the best results of any that have ever been done.
I've studied the previous ones, and there's a lot of good things that come from those. I mean, there's a lot of things there that makes a lot of sense, but you guys have done a lot of the things around those, like the waterfront, the park on your Long Park. And
Fort Mellon.
Fort Mellon Park was one of the things that was discussed back then. That's already there. There's a talk about a hotel in that previous one. We're discussing a hotel now. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen in this site particularly, but it's a discussion we're having. We also have to discuss the convention space, or call it your civic space, there's event space. That's also, I mean, every time we speak to people, the three things that come up specifically are the event place, that's number one, and usually the hotel keeps coming up a lot, and the Marina Isle keeps coming up a lot. Those are the three things we talk about a lot. But those things are going to be discussed, and we're going to put them into our thought pattern. They all have to be part of the big picture. Marina Isle is a very important piece.
Well, the gentleman that has the 99-year lease on that accused me of requesting updates from him more often than his own partners did, because our firm did the preliminary layout for the Marriott suites for him. And just can't, I thought he had the money, I thought he was ready to go, I thought he was going to do it. And now
Maybe it's a good thing that nothing happened. Maybe it's a good thing. It's probably a good thing that the way it's...
I think here in Sanford, a lot of people are like me, and we just want to see something happen and hope that it's right. I mean, how much master planning was actually done in the 19-teens when we had a boom here that really helped Sanford considerably? And we haven't seen anything like that since.
There's a book that I'm going to read. I haven't read it, but it's about George Merrick. George Merrick was the person who created Coral Gables, where I live. Okay. And that book was written by a person that I know, Arva Moore Parks. But somebody was just telling me, did you read the book? I said, no, I haven't read the book. He said, you have to read it. Coral Gables was formed in 4 years. The whole thing was 4 years. I mean, it was the 20s, but I understand, but it was 4 years that the whole town, I mean, it was 7, but 3 of those were under depression. So, I mean, things can happen rather quickly, and which is the point we're trying to make.
Well, I'm not getting any younger, so personally,
We got to
I'd
do
like
this
see
come
it
quick.
happen fairly
But
quickly.
back to the point. So I think how this comes together completely. The event place, the hotel. There's one. The Marina Isle. That I think is best done as a complete picture and what's best at this point. We're hiring Dover Cole, which you guys may be familiar. You know, I think they're going to be looking at these things as well. That we're not just looking at just 3 city blocks. We're looking at how this shapes up as a big.
And the CRA is playing a fairly big role in this, and I was going to ask Russ or Eileen if we could get some sort of an update on if all of their big plans are pressing on. I haven't seen anything, but I haven't been trying to push to get information. But I'm just kind of curious because it seems like the CRA would play a huge role in all of this, especially with that important pedestrian link between First Street and Seminole Boulevard to the lakefront, because they've been 2 disparate entities, and it appeared to me that the CRA plan, which I know is phased, is certainly going to assist in bringing that linkage together.
Yes, absolutely. And as it relates to having an update or report directly to this board relative to the status of the CRA's projects, we can absolutely facilitate that. Of course, Mr. Torrey's actions are working hand in hand, and if I apologize, I stepped out for just a moment, but Mr. Torrey, of course, was at yesterday's CRA meeting, and will continue to be having a working relationship with the city, our economic development department, and our CRA. The subject catalyst site is within the CRA, but absolutely desire to keep this board informed as to the integration of not only the CRA activities relative to the catalyst site, but overall with regards to the downtown beyond just the catalyst site. So we'll make note to have a briefing or a report by staff, if not a member of the CRA itself, to this committee.
Good.
Those streets will be done along the way. Those will become main streets with the pavers and the great sidewalks and the trees and all that. All that will happen. It's got to happen. It's part of the plan that those streets become a beautiful street that you walk over.
And there's nothing then that you all are responsible for in terms of development thereof of the streets, but I'm a little confused about the overlap of possibly sidewalks. Is that purely CRA? Is it Tory Development, or
Probably
is
a
it a
joint.
combination of both?
It's likely a combination, but
This point is probably early to even.
right, it's
look at
not
that
yet
side.
been determined.
Knowing what the goal is, and
TBD.
figuring out we're going to accomplish.
We'll figure it out, but it is
Exactly.
to be determined. So Sanford Avenue is a great start. You guys have a street that was done, and it's got a lot of activity, and it's organically happening.
Just believe it.
It's amazing how much stuff is happening there organically, with people on a shoestring budget are making businesses open up basically with their hammer and nail, without corporate America helping them to put these businesses together, which is pretty interesting.
But if I may make a comment, excuse me, Mr. Torrey, the segment that he just referenced, the Sanford Avenue streetscape, certainly we can credit and attribute that to a large degree to the support and actions of the CRA specifically, but that's a good example of the question beforehand as to who's going to be involved in many of these other forthcoming or future capital projects, streetscape projects, et cetera. Well, Sanford Avenue alone, from 1st to 6th Street, also involved investment from the city of Sanford directly, our utilities department, public works, and other city non-CRA resources went into that, as well as private-public partnerships. For example, the parking lot, parking being an issue at the corner of, I think it's 4th and Sanford Avenue. The city partnered with that property owner to make improvements to that parking lot and entered into agreements such that during non-business hours of that property, that the city could utilize, the public could utilize that parking for events or, our Live After 5 and other needs as we're developing and improving Sanford Avenue. So I think it's going to be an array of resources besides just the CRA, of course, involved. And, of course, we've got a great partner before us today with regards to Tory to help make that happen as well.
Is it possible that the priorities that the CRA developed for what's happening when is going to change dramatically based on Saturday and the resulting potential development that Tory development is going to do? Especially since theirs is going to be in phases too. So, I mean, I don't think we want to put a beautiful streetscape in and then all of a sudden they're bringing giant trucks in and doing development on a site or whatever.
This is a collaborative effort that is going to, I trust, utilize and program those resources appropriately and efficiently for all the common objectives and goals. So great questions. Unfortunately, I have specific answers today, but all of the parties involved in making those decisions are at the same table. So
I guess the question I have in regards to that is, as Tory moves forward, I like the point of not bringing Little John, because all of a sudden you've got a preconceived notion. And although Little John did a nice project and they definitely addressed a lot of issues, what you're going to bring to the table is yours. It's not theirs, and like you said, you want people to inform you of what their vision is, because, again, the thing that's sticking in my head that I like is brand. Is, no one's ever looked at this as a brand. It's always been, how the hell can we get something in downtown? And it was nothing more than that, and subsequently nothing ever got done. And now we're at a point where we're at the threshold of getting something started. But I think one of the things that scares me, and listening to Russ talk just now, listening to Jerry with the CRA money and this and that, how can the city, in conjunction with Tory, develop a team? In other words, right now, we want pavered sidewalks, especially in the new development, as it becomes, it grows and it becomes a part of the city. And that's going to be paid 92% by CRA and 8% by business tax, whatever it might be. The point being is that who the heck in the city's got to come up with a coach or a quarterback. And without a quarterback coordinating this thing, I know planning and zoning is one step of it. The city commission is an approval step of it. But I'm talking about the nuts and bolts, day to day, of meetings every week with the Tory group, with the city group, with the CRA group, where one person's in charge of making sure this thing keeps going, so you don't hit these roadblocks that we know are just big giant elephants in a closet in the city.
Never happen here, right?
Never. But the point is we know it's going to happen.
Them.
How can we try to avoid it? You say brand. The biggest problem I see right now is that brand's going to be great until you go to cross right past Riverwalk Pizza to go in that little mushroom on the water there, and all of a sudden we have no control over that.
Well, let me speak towards your point, because I think they're good points. And first of all, the commission has to get the vision in their mind, as well as everybody else that's on the top tier. They have to understand the discussions we're having today. They have to empower. Mr. Gibson. They have to empower the city manager. They have to empower economic development director, and they have to empower the CRA. Those are the three things that have to be empowered. So you guys, we know what you're up to. We have a vision, and it's a collaborative vision, and those three pieces are going to be the three important pieces: CRA, planning and zoning, and
City commission.
And city commission. But I'd like to say that in a project that we're handling, which is our big streetscape project, $20 million streetscape, that project was given to Public Works. It was wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It should have been given to Planning and Zoning. The urban scape project should have been handled by the P&Z director with the vision of the streetscape, and Public Works happens to design catch basins and things like that. They did it the other way. I think it didn't come out the way it would have had a planning director been involved. I think that these discussions run through your group here. I think you're going to hold the reins to a lot of the decisions. But the other item that I wanted to bring up, I have two more to talk about. Traffic and parking is always going to be number one, top of the line. It's going to come up. It's going to come up soon. Hopefully, we'll have parking problems very soon. You have to deal with them.
What a beautiful
That's a good thing, right? But that's my goal: give you parking problems. The other thing is a thing that you maybe have heard of is lean urbanism. And lean urbanism is something that the city can take on, and it has to be, again, a vision of what city. Lean urbanism basically starts to take away the rules and regulations that prevent people from developing these projects. And these are all the red tapes that exist in cities and in places that people just say, God, if I could only not do that. I'd move in tomorrow, but look at all the steps I have to go to, and people just don't get in there. They're building zoning issues. There are a lot of issues we can't get around. They're federal mandates. ADA is a federal mandate. But there's a lot of other things the city can say, I want to empower you to look at that, and let's see how our city can become ahead of everybody else. We're going to do things different here. And that takes away a lot of these red tapes and these layers, and people are going to say, look at this. I'm working in Sanford. I moved in yesterday. I moved in tomorrow. These layers prevent a lot of people from redeveloping, and it's just a lot of red tape, basically. You need to do this. Well, why can't I just move into the second floor? You should do it 50 years ago. Well, no, now you can't anymore. Well, that's dumb, right? So a lot of these things are just dumb new things. In our town, we're doing a study about how parking changed downtown. In 1962, they made parking regulations happen. Everybody started building big buildings. The little buildings just don't get built anymore. You basically ruin the fabric of the city because everybody wants to put 20,000 square feet. I want to build the biggest parcel so I can put 4 levels of parking because that's required. So everybody that develops needs to be developing $50 million projects versus developing a $2 million smaller building. That's because of parking requirements. Now, we're not saying let's ruin this place with parking problems, but it's again vision of we can maybe do it differently. People can walk 2 blocks. It's not going to kill them. So these are the things you will have to deal with. But again, it's creating that first vision of we can do something different here. We just have to, and that goes back to your point. Who's going to get that? If they don't get it, then he's not going to be empowered. You're not going to be empowered. But I think if that process begins to be enlightened, and we can do little, Sanford can be different, Sanford can be progressive, then everything starts to change because that step is being taken. And then you start letting people move in where they weren't. The second floor of these places on First Street have to be filled. The building, Wells Fargo needs to be filled. Mm-hmm. We need to fill all these places up. There's a lot of affordable housing right there. Affordable housing. What do we need to build affordable housing? We got all these empty spaces.
Good point.
Well, what's preventing people from filling those spaces? That's the first question. Why are we not?
The thing about it is, too, I like, you're talking about parking, walking 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. I mean, look at downtown St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. It's a great, vibrant old city. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to do there. People go from 4 blocks in to the river, to the waterfront, and they don't think about walkways. The old city streets and the curbs and the sidewalks have worked just fine. So I think, taking, just as long as the development has the businesses and assets there to draw people there to begin with, is going to accomplish what we all want to.
You will have, hopefully, parking problems.
I think going back.
I mean, it's an issue of everybody. I mean, it's what happens. You got to deal with cars. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, we won't be talking about this. Maybe the garages are obsolete. But at this point, we have to talk about it, and it will have to be. And it's a regulation that we will have to deal with. Why do we need to have so much parking? Why can't we share those parking garages between day and nighttime uses? So these are things.
Looks.
Yeah, but it's not a problem right now. You got a lot of parking still out there. There's so that's not even a question, but it's a discussion that will come up, in a few years. And
I think going back to the Little John project, I even clarified it during that was not specifically the project that was going to happen, but it was an idea, and a good idea, that allowed us to create the zoning and the land use and everything for your development or development like this to take place.
yeah. So we will come back with some suggestions, and maybe it's a planned area development. I don't know. We have studied a little bit the zoning. I'm not the one that got deep into it, but some of the folks at the office did start it. They give us a report. Kind of a lot of it went over my head. It's like, okay, that's getting in the weeds. I don't need to know, 10 feet over here and 5 feet over there, and that's going to step back over here. Okay, we'll figure that out. But we need to think creatively in terms of whatever's in that zoning. We have to respect, but we want to look at this. What's the right solution, and where does the zoning bother us or hinder us? So we wanted to have no setback, because that you want to have zero setback on the sidewalk. I don't know. I'm making up something. Well, that zoning there is got to be 10 feet. Well, let's talk about that. So those are the things we want to do correct first. Let's see what should happen here, and then we're going to come back and say, look, it's like this. Maybe it shouldn't. But we'll get into that. At this point, we're looking at it, understanding there's a zoning layer here, but we want to look at this a little bit broader and saying, let's not look at the restrictions. Let's look at what should be happening here. We're not going to do something high-rise there. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a low-rise. You can't build affordable high-rises and still trying to do your job. So, but it'll be something we're going to come back to you, and we're going to discuss about, soon enough. We did. Excuse me for interrupting. We did a study already, just to see what fits, and I do have a little bit of an understanding of what that study looked like in terms of how many units can be. If we wanted to look at it from a unit perspective, if we looked at it from density, we want to look at it from parking requirements, and then we tried to interpolate to that what our market study is telling us to do. And so we already have a little bit of a vision for that. But it does always have a streetscape following Palmetto and Sanford, and that's not changing no matter what happens. That's the street you want to walk and go under trees and experience the nice sidewalks with benches or whatever. All that will be happening, whether it's this, that, or the other thing. It's always going to be these great streets.
Is there a possibility that there might be proposed any complete street closures to have them pedestrian only?
That did not come up yet, but it would be a topic of discussion, and it could be
there's not much opportunity certainly within the precise area that you guys are responsible for, but there could be.
It could be. Sometimes we look at them where you put a bollard and you take it off, and then you can make it operable, and then you close it on the weekends. But I'm sure that you guys can do that already here, or you do it already here.
They don't do the bollards, but they do.
But they
That's
do
right.
Barricades or something.
Same with the parking, residential night, daytime, it's business.
Correct.
Things of that nature.
Yeah.
The thing is the only, as I understand, with your geographic location down south and being exposed to different ideas, I think it's going to be a benefit to the city of Sanford. I mean, you look at like Boca, you look at Meisner, you look at all these other developments that have taken place in South Florida, and you just pick the best of those, and it's like, okay, here's zero setback, and this is what it accomplished. And it's not like you're trying to, again, we're all picture driven. And when we look at something that's established, that's working, that went against what was supposed to work, it's easier to accept it and make it happen through requests and things of that nature, which I think that's one of the benefits.
We're looking at the experts to tell us. I mean,
exactly.
We're not going to try to make it up. That's why we're working with Dover Coal, and we considered using DPZ 20 hour, but Dover Coal is somebody that we've worked with and we felt comfortable with them. I think they're going to do a great job. But it's all about Sanford. It will be. And by the way, Joe Cole came. Victor did not come 2 weeks ago to just see what's going on here. And then when I was with them on Friday, Victor hadn't been here. He says, Joe Cole just told me that this is the perfect town. I mean, his report back to his partner was, this is great. I mean, because they see all these things. They go to all these places. They're in Phoenix last week, and they're over. the report was, this is going to be great. I mean, they're excited. So to me, that mattered because, again, they see what we don't see. They get hired. And by the way, most of the projects they do don't get done. I'm going to tell you that probably 80% of the projects they do just do not get done. They're just doing studies for people that just shelve them all the time.
That's what we don't want, is another shelf study.
So is this a planner, a planning, urban planner?
It's urban planner.
Yeah.
They did, local here, they did the streetscape for Winter Parks. Is it New York Avenue, Park
Yeah,
Avenue?
New York, yeah.
The Main Street, they did that streetscape. But they do this all over the country, the world actually. But
What's the name of the company?
Dover Cole.
Dover.
Yeah, I lent Russ the book that Victor Dover just wrote. It's called Streetscapes or Great Streetscapes. I forget the name. But if you guys have to pass it around and let them at least experience the book, it's something that you'll be well served. And the other thing I can suggest, and if you can and have the time, go to these places around, whether it's the East Coast or the West Coast. It's not far, and I went to Winter Haven a couple of weeks back. They have a redevelopment project they're trying to do, and they had affordable housing. I'm like, okay, I got to see what they're doing. So it's not on the street, it's an hour south of Kissimmee, not even. It's just one project, but I thought it was interesting. It was a modern project. It's affordable. It's like a warehouse with a nice facade. And I'm like, it works. But I went to see it because I felt, it was Saturday. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to go 45-minute drive, buy Legoland, and I'll go look at Winter Haven. So I did. But the point is that some of this stuff is not far. I went to Mount Dora. I don't know, 3 or 4. It's like tourist town in there. That's like T-shirt shops everywhere popped up. I'm like, what the heck happened here? Yeah. It's so busy now. It's like a tourist destination. I was like flabbergasted. I'm like, what happened to Mount Dora? Busy as could be, though. Restaurants are popping. But again, just to see what they're doing and what's driving them. So it's a. None of them are exactly the same, but they all have a little bit something you can get from them. So it's good to just see what they're doing, and then the CRAs have a lot to do with it. Some of them are successful, some are not.
You were talking about having a parking problem here in the future. Reality is, 10 or 12 years ago, you could drive to downtown Sanford on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening and park anywhere you wanted to. But now things really have changed, and it's just so ripe and ready to go. You come in on a Friday evening, and you have to walk a little ways. And I think that's great because things are happening, and so much is happening. It's just like it's on the cusp. It is truly a diamond in the rough.
That's what we say. So I think that's it in a nutshell. If you have any other questions.
You had said that you had 2 points you wanted to make, and one of them was the
lean urbanism
traffic.
I spoke to you about. I think that's something that the city should, and the other one is a parking issue.
Parking.
You'll eventually be building a parking garage probably some point. That's what happens. It's normal. Where it goes, those are the things that will be discussed at some point, because normally there's a parking structure that fits into these things.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the 4-block area you all are developing, right?
I mean, there's so much land around here that you guys can put a parking garage. Now, the thing is, where does it go? So there needs to be some rhyme and reason for where it goes. And in my view, parking garages eventually will be obsolete. Maybe 20, 30 years from now, the parking garage will be something else. So maybe it gets filled in, becomes living space. But affordable housing. The issue with the county was something else. We're also trying to see if that makes any sense for them to stay. We're trying to discuss that with the county.
So then you shouldn't do sloped parking decks. You should do level decks with sloped access.
Well,
Makes it easier in the long
we
run.
can take down one ramp maybe or something. But yeah, you're right. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. I
Thank you.
enjoyed
Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry there's standing room only. For
I wish there was
today, but
all of you, so get everybody involved today, but that's okay. We'll catch on the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks. We want to fill
Look forward
the
to
room
working
next
with you,
time,
sir.
right?
Look forward to it.
And Russ,
Yes.
is it at the Civic Center or is it here?
Civic Center,
Civic Center.
Saturday at noon.
It's at
Begins.
home on my computer, but yeah.
You've got a handout in front of you.
Yeah, there's a handout on it.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Chair.
There it is.
Well,
Civic Center.
I guess the next non-official action is Mr. Lake. Let me just let Chuck.
Sure.
I wanted to ask Russ, I saw the minutes, which we're not going to approve, but it was the minutes from last time, and I wanted to catch myself up without bothering him. And the only thing that was in there about the architectural design standards, there was a brief discussion, and that's it. There's really nothing else. I mean, what has happened with that now?
Okay. But in your agenda packet, there is a staff report, or was it handed out this morning?
There's a staff
It's handed
report.
out.
It was in our packet?
It's before you,
This, okay.
indeed. And so the second section of
Excuse me for 1
the,
second, Russ. Chuck, as Russ has spoken to you, we don't have the quorum to have an official meeting.
Roll the dice, sometimes you win, sometimes.
Hey, exactly. I apologize for it, and we will get you rescheduled as quickly as we can.
We've been here 40 years, we'll be here next.
I hear you. I just don't know if I'll be here next,
I have just a couple of real quick questions for him, if I could.
Concerning?
I couldn't see
Well,
exactly on
we
the
can't
slides.
really discuss it.
best not to
We can't
have
discuss
any
because it's not a
any
meeting.
inquiries about it. If you want to
Lawyers, you gotta love them,
talk
right?
to,
Okay.
I just nodded.
I'll wait.
that's one of our public hearing items, so we need a
I'll call you,
quorum.
Russ.
Yes, that'll be fine, sir.
And
And
for that matter, you can go back to making stuff instead of sitting here listening to us.
I learned something.
There you go. Good.
And we'll be following up with your staff. We'll let you know about the specifics as to when, and so we'll get with you after this meeting.
What is it, Chuck? Hopefully it's got a big central chilling system and it needs some big pipe work.
And as a citizen who is a car mobile kind of person, I love getting on the train and going to Winter Park. You get that spur over here,
Yeah,
who cares about parking?
true. Good point. Nice thing to say. Thanks, Chuck.
This is gonna go.
It's on this end. It's already there. It's where's the building? It's right here. It's right there. It's on the side of the building. It's
So it's right
north
there
end.
where the truck's back in?
Yeah, next to the trucks. The truck well is a recessed truck well, separate and apart.
Okay, so they're raised up. There's no way-
That's on grade level, and the trucks go down into the pit.
We're getting frowned at.
No,
Okay.
use us.
I'll,
Okay. At this point, I guess staff reports or any staffers conversation.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, just finish up on staff reports, and in part that'll perhaps address Mr. Mills's question about what he noted or did not note in the draft minutes. The City Commission pending / scheduled actions include 3 items scheduled for the second meeting of the City Commission this month. They meet next Monday, April 11th, but their last meeting this month is scheduled for April 25th. And as you see on the third bullet, they're scheduled to have the second reading of the ordinance to adopt the architectural design standards. So,
and your opinion?
I'm sorry, sir?
And your opinion?
As to whether they will adopt them at that time?
Yeah. Are there still hang-ups, I guess?
In as much that staff is not yet quite completed some of the modifications that we're working on, but other than staff's challenges, I'm optimistic that these will advance.
So the changes that staff is making doesn't need to come to us before City Commission approves it?
Based on the scope of what is being considered, the input direction from the city attorney's office to date has been no. But if at second reading there are reasons for it to be remanded back, or even the city commission having to reconsider it on first reading, we will certainly keep you informed.
So you caught some spelling errors too, huh?
It's to yes, some
No,
cleanup
I'm
to
just
make them
Let's see.
essentially to have them be administered easier for both staff and the development community. That's the overall objective.
the changes that are being addressed or looking to be addressed. Although a lot of them came from 8 feet over from my office, I do not have any idea what they are. And would like to, if nothing else, can staff provide the commission with a synopsis of just bullet points of what has been changed? Because it seems to me is that if anything gets changed on a document that we've gavelled to the city commission, we should have the opportunity to re-gavel it prior to it going back to the city commission.
Unless,
Yes,
we
we-
take a look at it and it's,
Yeah.
and
But if
we
it's,
agree that it's not. a
because
big
as
deal.
I'm speculating that there's some clarification between commercial and industrial, whereas before it was all commercial and things like that, which are significant changes. And I'm stepping in a zone where, I've got some uglies on this
Well,
because of my circumstances with work.
What I regret to say, as I alluded to a moment ago with regards to staff challenges to get the information back to the city commission as the city commission has directed or expected staff to do. Unfortunately, I'm behind in terms of facilitating that very issue that you are wanting as well.
Industrial, commercial slash.
I need to keep this board ultimately informed, but I am backlogged on getting those pending changes compiled appropriately. So as soon as I do, I will pledge that the same day or moment they're ready to present to the City Commission, I will distribute to this board for your information as well. And of course, I will keep you informed should there be a procedural change, i.e. reconsideration by this board as well.
I may have to recuse myself just as a life safety issue.
Well, I can appreciate that, sir, but I don't think that will be necessary. All right. And again, essence of time and in respecting your time, appreciate you being here today, unfortunately without the quorum. If you have any questions regarding any information on the handout, whether it's today, or right now, or in the future, just let us know. Again, as you do see on the April 25th, the City Commission is scheduled to consider an appeal that has been submitted relative to your recent action on the 800 Santa Barbara Drive. And
In regards to what?
there were a couple of conditions that, and Ms. Henson might recall what those conditions might have.
Not allowed to add trailers ever again.
That was probably one of them.
Yes.
Lot 4 replacement, right? And then the future replacement.
Right, basically. I mean, they're appealing the conditions that are restricting them from being able to replace trailers on site. So,
No, that's fine. I hope the City Commission backs us up.
Find out.
And I guess I've been a little bit confused about when we can and can't show up to City Commission meetings.
Careful.
And so, I'm not sure whether we can go and talk about that or not, but I guess we have everything in minutes that says what we need to be doing and all of that sort of stuff.
Well, if I may also, as a part of staff report, take this opportunity to comment on that, but also thank the board members that, have already completed the annual training for ethics and sunshine training. That would be Mr. Essler and Mr. Loader. You have your certificates before you
My
this
diploma,
morning.
buddy.
So thank you. But
I'm sorry.
when there are concerns or questions that each of you have, of course, do not hesitate to call upon staff, but moreover, our city attorney's office. I know even as it related to the notices that went out for Saturday's workshop, a couple of board members did appropriately question what your role and right to attend and participate would be. So
I don't think I got an answer either.
I got one.
I thought that you
did.
did, but
He sends so many out, sometimes it's hard to.
Because it is a mixed message. It really is.
it is
You know,
sometimes
city commission
confusing.
meeting.
But again, don't hesitate to rely upon council or staff to assist you in that respect.
In this case, Lonnie responded quickly to me, too,
Indeed,
which was nice.
they can indeed attend and participate. Yes.
We
Yes.
can indeed
Can
attend
Saturday.
and participate.
participate, absolutely.
Okay.
And Saturday's workshop.
If that's why it was noticed the way it was, so that everybody was put on notice that board members could be there.
And city commissioners.
What makes it so differently distinguishable from what we can't, which we recommended not to be a part of? That's where I get confused, is that,
I'd like to know what scenario was.
for instance,
City
we've always been told you can be one of the 55,000 and you can be one of the 25. The 25 are the people who are on boards that form the planning and zoning and different boards, and it's better. For instance, I ended up at a city commission meeting one night and got pulled up to the podium by one of the commissioners and got in a crack, okay? Subsequently, Lonnie suggests that the best thing we can do is avoid the city commission meetings.
Well, yes, obviously it would be the best thing to do, but I don't think there's any prohibition of going to the meetings. It's best generally not participate because,
Right.
just the appearance of impropriety, having
So-
that bite of the apple, basically.
But if we're
So
there,
if-
there's a very good chance that city commission, if they're in a quandary about something, they're going to see Steve or Mike or me
Yeah,
in the
what's
audience
your
and
opinion?
ask us
So
questions.
now,
I've had board members go up to the podium before at meetings,
now here's where I,
This meeting is noticed such that everybody is invited, and because all of the boards are involved, CRA is involved, you all are involved, and the commission's involved, it's a collaborative effort. What's wrong?
I have Lonnie's email if you want me to read it.
However-
It's necessary at this time.
Everybody's invited, and that's the reason it's noticed the way it was, so the public's on notice that the sunshine law would not be violated by you all being there to discuss the
And
now if I go and I make a statement or bring up a point concerning something that's going to be coming in front of this board, how does that differentiate from not being inappropriate? That's where I'm confused.
because it's noticed as.
So I've got a permission slip to say what I want.
Got a hall pass, man.
Yeah.
You said you could attend. They didn't say you could say anything.
No, they did say we could. We could participate.
Appropriate to say in a public place, yes.
But then I'm also offering my opinion to another board member if they're there. We're not supposed to discuss anything that could subsequently come in front of our board. It's not official yet. Just confused.
yeah, and I can appreciate
So we
the
gotta move
confusion
on.
Name, so.
as to what Mr. Mills was alluding to, even when, of course, we're keeping you informed as to what may be forthcoming before the city commission, in this case, an appeal of one of your actions. Now, please, that's the point, yeah.
Yeah, that would be different, for you to address the appeal, because they would have to rely on the minutes such as they were. And considering that matter.
Unless you can cork it, don't go.
Okay, so that's the,
I'm hard to call when one of them's up.
the challenges at times of representing certain
Will
cities.
y'all- Just as an aside, I'm not able to hear what you all are saying. Are you able to hear in the mic with the recording?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Testing.
Don't say what you said about Jennifer.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that you didn't hear it, you didn't give us bad advice.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just again want to share with you, of course, you have a copy of the flyer and invitation to the grand opening celebration of the Seminole County Sports Complex on, yes,
Fields
it's
of
Friday the
Dreams.
13th of May. And, but we're very excited about that resource being completed, but also contributing to our community. So,
I must say it's quite ironic that our wonderful Seminole County decides to have a grand opening on Friday the 13th. That's probably going to be the best luck that you could have, not the worst. The Fields of Dreams. How can we resolve the issues we have with the attendance problems we are having? I know it's something we can't resolve here. However, we used to have alternates that, I know our alternate backed out and had to leave, but can we make a request, or you make a request to the city commission to advertise for alternates?
Well, that is scheduled for the April 25th City Commission meeting as well. The commission was going to consider it on Monday, April 11th, but wanted to provide, get the word out. I think used our variety of social media outlets and sources to solicit as much interest and applications for the position, rather than just relying on the applications that were on file, which I think were nominal. So the mayor has called for the interviews and decision on April 25th.
Because this was a great disservice to the community, not being able to have a meeting, which now throws it back off for the city commission. Now, we can end up with a mural the size of Cowboy Stadium because we can't stop it right now.
Well, that's ultimately a policy decision, but
It's just a shame that we can't get a
I-
quorum out of
I
a
would
planning and zoning commission.
favor sharing more details about that, but unfortunately, I'd say a public hearing matters, so we'll plan for another day. The something else.
You want to call for a special meeting, maybe? So we're not waiting a month to resolve that?
Maybe pull a second meeting in this month. That's a good point. I know it's not a big issue, but however, the fact that we've gone to one meeting and now, so realistically, we're keeping a corporate entity held for 8 to 9 weeks for an approval or a disapproval.
It's the prerogative of this board if that's your interest to do so. I am thinking it may be unnecessary.
Okay, pending a conversation.
Right. What I would offer, because of course any consideration of calling a special meeting would be predicated on the availability of our board members as far as that
For a
date and
special
time.
meeting.
So staff could poll at your discretion those board members to any particular days that you desire between now and your next regularly scheduled meeting is for May 5th. I will share with you, the City Commission is scheduled to consider the continuance of the first reading of the moratorium ordinance on Monday, this coming Monday, April 11th. And it's my understanding that staff's recommendation will be to have that continued to at least the April 25th City Commission meeting. Of course, your next regularly scheduled meeting is after that date, but again, I can't attest to what the City Commission will do come Monday, but given action today, I could report to them that your action would not happen unless you schedule a special meeting until May 5th. Their next meeting, City Commission's next meeting after May 5th is May 9th. So, again, I have reason to believe that the City Commission is not necessarily looking to, well, I better not speculate on what the City Commission is actually.
Wise man. If it's not causing undue harm, you've been working with the Quality Fab people, and you know where that is. And if that's not going to cause undue harm for us not to have a meeting, then at the same time, we can still feel reasonably confident that the mural thing's not going to blow up in the face because it goes another month, then maybe it's not necessary at all.
Yes.
It's just a conversation.
Indeed, I'm very confident as it relates to the impacts to the 115
corporate-
Tech Drive. Yes. Now, the one matter that I believe, as it relates to the issue of a quorum today, and I think it's only it's not unprecedented, but I only recall it perhaps occurring once before by this board many years ago, is the mayor particularly, but the City Commission's concerns about the time that this board meets. And so in the past, we have reported that it's been the the interest of the board members of our planning board to have it at this time, rather than in the evenings, but this may not reflect well in that respect to the city commission, so I'll let you know
Valid point.
that
We could do Fridays at 7,
in
the morning.
and just for
7
the
at night on Friday.
benefit, I was going to share with Ms. Cockcroft before the meeting, as you perhaps know, this board in the past met twice a month, both meetings being in the evenings. Then there was consideration of to accommodate not only our community, our applicants, but it was also an opportunity to have other staff that would be available during the daytime if they needed to be called upon for testimony at this committee to consider having daytime meetings. So we converted having of the 2 meetings a month, one would be continued at the evening and the other was held at this time, 10 a.m. And then what we observed over time was, we no longer were finding it necessary to have 2 meetings a month, and we found that we had as much, if not more, participation during the daytime meetings, as well as it being the preferred time for the board members. So that's how we got to the point we are today. But
It's a valid point. I mean, as far as citizen participation, if there's an issue that's an issue, the citizens get here whether it's daytime or nighttime. My question is, can our board get here at night easier than day? That's the only question I have, because daytime's just as good as night for me. I don't care. Either one, because we're here to serve the city of Sanford and serve the citizens. It's the situation where is that we got to be able to at least be able to present ourselves as a governing board that can make government by being in quorum. And we can't throw anybody off the board because they're appointed.
Mr. Chairman, do I sense a consensus of the members here today that should staff view the interest or need to have a special call meeting, that we could call upon the board members in that respect, or do we?
Are you talking about for evening or just
prior
a special-
to your May 5th meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
consensus of me. I'm the only one that speaks for
I don't
myself.
like to hold people up.
No, I mean, again, we serve the people of Sanford, so we serve the public, and if we have to have a special meeting, then it's worth having it.
And Mr. Loder, are you comfortable if that was
As long as I
necessary?
don't have any other appointments at that time, yeah.
Right, I
I
mean,
can put it on my calendar.
If we're, you have to notice it 2 weeks anyway, right? So we can determine,
No, the ordinance or action of the city commission as it relates to the continuance of a meeting that has not had a quorum, the current noticing requirements, we'll have to
So the notice has
post
already
and publish the
been
agenda
accomplished.
appropriately.
I mean, just figure out what you're looking at, and we'll see, and we'll poll. If you can poll the board, see.
But at
You know?
this time, the continuation of today's action items will be for May 5th.
At this point.
The only, and I think I'm sensing from Eileen too, that the only reason for a special call meeting might be if there was need to address the moratorium.
The public hearing too.
See what it is. I mean, the Arts Commission is working on
That's what I was going to share with them too. Is the city commission is, I mean, I remain optimistic that this is my position, that the original objective of staff to have the city commission consider a moratorium may not be as critical as it was when it was first presented to
Well,
the
even
city.
if we have a special meeting, the chances of us having it between now and Monday at 4 o'clock are pretty slim. And it's,
Well,
and
no,
the meeting's
there would be
Monday.
no
Okay.
basis to get it between now and Monday. It would be prior to their city commission's meeting of April 25th.
As chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I would request that the director of planning and zoning for planning and facilities for the city of Sanford direct us in the way that he best sees suited to serve the city.
At this time, sir, I think continuing today's action items, public hearings, to your next regularly scheduled meeting will be appropriate.
I so agree. Agree, gentlemen, which we can.
I agree. I do have a question. In looking at something like a moratorium on the mural situation, I don't really understand why that needs to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that the City Commission cannot just vote directly on that.
Courtesy?
The consideration of any moratorium that involves the city's land development regulations or growth management policies requires the local planning agency, the Planning and Zoning Commission, to make a finding as to whether that consideration of that moratorium, whatever it may involve, is consistent with the city's goals, objectives, and policies. So you're not being asked regarding the policy issue of having a moratorium or not, but is the consideration of the moratorium for that subject matter consistent with the city's comprehensive plan? And just for your information, the previous moratoriums that did involve land development related matters were on
The,
adult
right,
entertainment.
no, the adult gaming
The
establishment,
the
right,
the
the,
simulated gaming devices, and there was another one. But this board did, in that case, make findings that they were consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and then ultimately the city commission made a decision as to whether or not to enact the moratorium accordingly. So I hope I answered your question.
So then there was a motion to continue.
I was like,
We can't make motions, can we?
That's the only motion.
Procedural motion.
So moved.
I can't make the motion, you admit.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Mills, a second by Mr. Loder to continue the meeting until the May meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Goes unanimous. Meeting is continued.
Right.
With that being said, we so adjourn our non-adjournable meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much. 10:15.
no,
Yeah.
11.
Or 11:15.
It's 11:15.
Can we do that?